Aha.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, everyone, I'm really pleased to introduce you to David Iachetta. David is a serial entrepreneur, fluent in 4 languages. He's got businesses across Europe, particularly in Belgium, Portugal, and Luxembourg, and is the author of the book We Are All Gamers, which is the purpose of today's event. He also spoke eloquently at Gamification Europe 2020 conference about the techniques the game Fortnite has used to be so successful and what we can learn from those in business. And David, hopefully I can hear you. So I'm going to ask, can we start with a little bit of background about the businesses you're involved in?
Yeah, sure. So thanks a lot. So I'm involved mainly in one business, which is Brevon, which is a gamification platform, focusing also today on behavioral economics, because you know that I have experience in finance sector. And in finance, banking are really reinventing themselves thanks to digital, but not only, because now I disappearing and they need to replace a human relationship with the digital platform relationship. So we need to drive people to commit and into new that's mainly where I'm focused on. And I'm also, of course, supporting young entrepreneurs if their business is digital and if they are on gamification, even more than business or patient. So that's what makes my days today.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And I was chatting to you before we started, and you've had a busy start to the year as well, I believe.
Yeah, so much. As I said, it's really surprising to see how businesses are accelerating after COVID. I would say we are still engaged in it a lot, but I think people and companies now are adapted to the situation. And I was anticipating maybe cost of budget into not in, because it's not interesting businesses, but more into gamification, you know. Because people maybe are not mature enough to understand how it's critical and help people to engage. That's the right moment to engage people because people are losing motivation and engaging with the brand due to working and working. So it makes sense, and surprisingly and positively surprised that it's really acting a lot. So that's the momentum for gamification.
Yeah. Well,
finally, after so much years fighting.
Yeah. So it seems like your book's out at the right time. But I thought I'd start by asking you, what inspired you to write this book, and how long were you working on it? How long was the gestation period?
So your first question is really, really good and amazing. In fact, I didn't wake up and say I would write an author, to be honest. I was writing a lot of articles about gamification, exactly with the same purpose as you are saying, evangelization to my clients. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to write them content, short content. I did it in a few years. And then one day, the communication manager of my team told me, but David, you know, if we can bring and merge all these articles, I'm sure we can write a book. And then we were kidding about it, and finally we put it together and we say, look, I think we have a story there, and the story is yours, in fact. And my story is the following one. As a digital entrepreneur starting with nothing, mm-hmm. And I'm not human resources oriented. I'm not a manager. We never born as a manager. I'm a technical guy. I was developer background. That's not easy to manage people when your company is successful and growing. And that's a good thing business was started, but it's a bad thing that I cannot manage people inside a company. So I was losing a lot of good persons in the company. And in 2014, I was looking how I can motivate my people to stay with me in the company and so on. We had a lot of discussion with them. And I found that gamification could help me to engage them with the company. And this is what we have put in place. And in fact, the book is explaining how I made it until developing businesses around gamification and sharing this passion, first of all, but also this feedback experience. And that's where the book is. So okay. The book itself, for me, it's not really a book I've made to distribute, you know. That's why it's also self-publishing. That's also the reason. It's really a kind of deliverable after 10 years and explaining where we suffer and how gamification can help me and save the company, in fact.
Oh, so actually that was my next question, really, was like, who's the book aimed at? Or I guess better would be, who's it for? Yeah, who would benefit from reading it?
It's for business owners, team leaders, managers of companies, or just people interested into gamification techniques, I would say. But that's definitely the purpose of the book. Today, I'm more happy to give my book to one of my clients or a team leader which is facing the same challenge than trying to sell it as much as I can. That's not the goal, as I said. So that's not a business, the book. It's really a passion that I'm sharing with team leaders and so on, and business owners facing the same challenge as I faced a few years ago.
So I just want to get a bit more insight into you. And I know it's really early on in the book. It says that you belong to both Generation X and the Millennials generations.
Yeah.
So how have you managed to be part of two? And what advantages do you think that gives you?
Well, when I say that I'm in the middle of both, it's because, in fact, even today, we have 15 people in the company. Average age is only 25, you know? And I started my business I was 28. So I'm getting older and older, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm still involved into teams of 25, 26 years people, you know? Mm-hmm. So we are not same generation, but I'm living with them. So as you know, we always become, this is what we say in Belgium, we become the average of the 5 people we met every day. And that's why I think even if I'm getting older, I think I've moved from generation. I'm also a millennial without being it really, you know. I'm facing the same challenge, and I understand them correctly because I'm living with them every day. So this is what is really interesting, you know. When people say we are not getting older, I think I'm getting older in terms of age, but not in terms of mindset. That's why I like to say that I'm a millennial, you know.
Gotcha. So you got the millennial mindset.
Yeah, which I think, and that's why also the book is in gold. It's because I think it's a golden generation. And that's why there is gold in the book. Yeah, like this, you know it. Because I think that's probably the best generation I ever met. When I started to work, I work with really old generation, which is disappearing in the companies today. They have a pension. I'm the generation, you know, where you should work hard and only dedicated your life to a job. Otherwise, you won't do anything good in your life. And then I'm living every day with millennials, and I'm so faithful to that guys because they really know what is life. In fact, what is quality of life, and it opens your eyes to say, look, job is a job, passion is a passion. But you don't forget the why, and don't forget to make it for a cause, you know? And I think it's so cool that I would like to be a millennial, in fact. I'm not officially, but I like to say that I am. Because
you know, it's in writing now, you know, that you're part of both. So
sorry?
Now it's in writing in the book that you're part of both. So, you know, that makes it official, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I really believe what I've written, in fact. So it's inception, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you're part of 2 generations. I guess I should ask, what sort of games do you play, and what have you played recently?
Games, really gaming, you say?
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not playing, but I'm following and watching a lot of gamers playing, because I really appreciate more the attitude people has in front of games than gaming myself, you know? I really like to see the addiction, the techniques which are used. And I'm more like the doctor which is looking at you sleeping to analyze your dreams. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I take my pen and I'm look my kids playing 8 hours a day. But I'm not a gamer, but I'm looking gamers. I'm really passionate about gamers. And when you saw that, and when you see that and you analyze how living every day, you realize that in fact life is in fact a game, and games techniques are in everyday use and everyday marketing actions and attitude you may have. That's amazing. That's
interesting. Okay, so you watch them. Well, in that case, I've got a question. I've got to bring a question forward. So you talk about the 5 generations that are in the workplace at the same time at the moment.
Yeah.
My question was going to be, are they all gamers? But if you've been watching them, I'm going to say, are they all gamers? And what sort of games do they play?
That's really a good question. To be honest, I cannot even tell you. That's so good question that I don't have a response. First of all, being with 4 generations in the same place is really hard. It's completely the opposites, which is also nice to discover how in a small period of time you could have 4 mindsets completely different. We are speaking about 40 years, 30 years difference only, which is not even half of your life, I hope. And we are not thinking about putting 4 people of different destiny, you know what I mean? So it's different. There is no 400 years old between people. It's so short period of time and a so big difference. Sometimes you can even see that they have the same mindset, but just renewed, you know, with the actual situation, which was not in the past, like wars and so on. But the idea is the same, but just differently based on what they have in hand. And I think technology is one of the most important things. It's changing what you can do, but the mindset can be the same. But with the technology you have in hand, it's potentially you don't have any limit. And the same.
I'm probably going to get to the technology bit in a minute because it's a big part of the book.
Yeah,
I want to follow up a bit more on this. What the people in the different generations play, because you didn't have an answer, but you do talk about. Actually, my question is going to be: do they actually ever play any games in the office? Yeah, do you provide an area for playing games, and which generations join in? That might be a better question.
So, in fact, that's we have a corner in every offices to play the games. The games are mainly based on challenges and on mood experience, because I think having the right mood in a company is the most important things you may have. That's why we have a mood manager inside the company. So it's around challenges too, which are more on personal skills and personal behaviors. And then we have challenges in terms of productivity. Like this, by merging them, we always go ahead. I think everybody can go up. And the third aspects we have, which are not really games, but it's about a learn-to-learn approach. So we know that learning is really important for everyone in terms of competencies, in terms of productivity, in terms of knowledge, of course, for the company, but also in terms of motivation, because more you know a topic, more comfortable you are, and more you see yourself growing. You know, that's why everyone wants to say you need to read books, you need to learn, because it's a kind of adrenaline, amazing adrenaline you may have. And that's why we implement a kind of learn-to-learn session between us. This is what we do. Then, to have multiple generations joining the same challenge corner, I would say, you need to do it physically. You cannot do it digitally speaking. That's the main difference, I would say. So the challenges and the games are the same for all generations. But, you know, with all generations, we will use a board and Post-its. And with young generation, younger generation, we can use apps, games, and digital. The commitment and the engagement will be the same for all, but you will lose all generations if you don't do it physically speaking. That's it.
Okay. So I might ask some more questions about that. So, but it brings me to another point, which is you say in the book that gamification can bring together the 3 worlds of games, digital technologies, and the corporate sector.
Yes.
And my question about that is, why gamification rather than any other approach?
I would say the techniques which are behind gamification, if you really understand them, not as games, as human his attitude, and if you understand really the behavior of people, those techniques can change anyone. There is no limit. There is no limit. You just need to use the right techniques, and maybe also how humans are reacting. how the human works, how the human think, rationality, irrationality. And if you understand that, you can, it's even more powerful than hypnosis, you know? Because hypnosis is a short time where you do and what people are asking you, in fact, without thinking. With gamification, you can change attitude of people on a long-term period, and it's coming from them, not for you. So this is why I think gamification is probably the best techniques you can have in hand to do things, and it's applied on kids, adults, business, private, gamers, sports, whatever. So there is no limit, in fact. Just to have the right strategy can solve it.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty convincing and conclusive argument for it, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to digress because I forgot an interesting question I was going to ask a minute ago. So one of the elements you said to motivating millennials particularly was about giving them more free rein, more autonomy. And you were talking in the book about the example of wanting to customize and decorate the office space.
Yeah.
And you talk about giving them free rein, but you never actually say what they did. What did they come up with? So I'm intrigued to know, how did Millennials Unleashed with their creativity change your office space?
Yeah, because I think it's part of the mode. I think not only the new generations, we want to be in a place where we are like at home, like we are free, like we don't have any constraint and restrictions. Because when you think about it and when you make one step back, in fact, you do the office and the work environment as you would like that it is. But in fact, you are not there. I'm in meeting, I'm never there. It's their place, not mine. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think let's do it. You decide how we do it. It's like your room at home, you know, you do it as you want. And because they do it for them, they also have in mind, and this is what I really discovered, and it's amazing, they have in mind the budget, you know, because it's them doing it. So it looks expensive, I don't do it, but it was a good idea. And if you say, look, I would like that the company is going to be changed in terms of design environment, then if the company paying, they have no limit in terms of money. But that doesn't mean that they will feel better in that place, you know? And this is the first thing I really understood when they did that. And the ideas they bring, you can imagine, it was more spaces with different mood and environment. So you have the serious place, you have the corner with challenge and game. Then you have, I have only IT guys, mainly IT guys. So we have a place to make agile meetings and project management. We have, of course, the lunch place where you have a beer and you have a fridge with wine. In fact, all you need to be happy. It's like, you know, having a new apartment and you need to make it. And this is really nice. And I think the conclusion on that experience is you feel better because it's a place that you design. And second, it doesn't cost me more than if I was doing it myself. So, which is amazing. You can delegate that to them. And for the mood aspect, it's really nice. It's really
so
nice.
What would you say you saw as outcomes from that? Was it people staying with you longer, more productivity, more innovation? What?
Yeah. Motivation for sure. Coming to the office is it's not coming to work, but it's coming at the office. So it's coming to meet others, you know. It's like going to the sports fitness room to lose weight. You need to go, you have no choice, you know, you need to lose weight. Or going to the sports room because you meet other people, you are not alone, you feel better after, and indirectly you are losing weight, you know. And this is, I think, the difference when you can be involved and engaged in the company animation. And designing the room is one thing. There we have a mood calendar where we have birthdays and things like that, and they can do what they want in terms of animation. Of course, we have team buildings and things like that. So I think people stay longer because they feel right. And if I take back the example of the fitness room, they come because they feel better. They don't come to lose weight. And the fact is, that's exactly what I say, the example I use for incentive and gamification. Incentive is like the losing weight. If you want to lose 10 kilos, when you reach this objective, you stop going to the fitness room. you have lost your 10 kilos. In gamification, if you feel good going to the sports room, you will continue to go to the sports room because you feel better. And indirectly, you are losing weight and weight and weight. And this is what we try to put in place successfully, actually. Mm-hmm. And this is a real proof of gamification inside a company and not incentive approach. And finally, once again to your question, you realize that it's really important money, but it's not the most important thing today on this planet. And they have their why, they have a cause, and the cause is that everybody should feel better. We come as a co-working space, or we don't come, we work from home, and productivity is without limit because millennials are really machine.
Okay, they'll just work if you put the right environment.
Yeah, like you. I think we are enjoying this kind of event. It's not even to come, it's just a pleasure, and it makes me feel really happy to share this.
Yeah, I like to learn. You like to share. We're ticking different boxes in what motivates us.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to wrap up those benefits you were just talking about. And what would you say are the key benefits that gamification can bring to your colleagues and to a company?
For a company, I would say indirectly productivity for sure, and retention. People will stay longer. And this is today one challenge. It's to keep people. It's not to hire them. There are a lot of really nice competencies today available. The problem is not to hire them, but to keep them. That's where gamification makes sense, I think. And for employees, which means people and new generations, means they will just enjoy their work as they can enjoy another patient. I know it's crazy to say that because it's a job, but if gamification is well applied, I think you can decrease from 50% the way you think. So the way you think, meaning that you don't say, I'm working, I'm doing what I should do because I enjoy it. And this will improve productivity. And for them, this will improve a lot of quality of life. Like I said, the moment we are spending together now, it's not even part of my agenda. It's like having a beer with friends, it's really enjoying. And I think part of the gamification principle that you can solve that. So important for them to understand. And if it's they will become soon entrepreneurs because they will enjoy jobs. They will like to create their own business.
Yeah. Oh, no, we've just had a point from Lisa who's listening. Thanks for these lovely insights and your willingness to share. Increased retention is indeed such an important advantage of gamification. It's pretty much what I was going to say, so thank you, Lisa. That's a good point. My next question for you, okay, is in the book you make an interesting point about too many companies having a digital transformation strategy that doesn't include the human aspect. And I'm interested to know, what have you seen out there then? I guess it's with potential customers and customers. What are they doing wrong in their digital transformation strategies?
They were doing wrong something, and it's probably 90% of why gamification is failing. They think they can use gamification, and the rewards and the results of gamification is not that the company. It should not. It the and indirect company, exactly as I was explaining for the sports. The fact that going to the sports is good for you, that's a direct benefit. Indirectly, it's losing weight. That's exactly the same for a company. If you put gamification in place, think employee feel good. If they indirectly, there's a benefit for the company. If you think putting gamification in place will give you a direct return, that's false. Because I think employee won't be the focus. It should be human-centric. And if the focus is not as employee, you will fail because the result won't be there, what you are waiting. So that's probably what I'm saying every time to my customers. That's the main cause of failing with gamification inside companies, on top of not understanding the difference between incentive and gamification, but that's also linked. They do it a new model doing incentive. If you do that, you fail for sure. Do it, understand the difference in both, and think, what should I bring to my guys? That's the thing. If you bring what they are waiting for, indirectly you will be surprised about what you can have. And sometimes you will discover that you couldn't receiving that in return, but they will give it to you. That's even better. And I think that's the main feedback experience I would like to give, and I'm giving clients. You do it indirectly. You cannot even imagine how it can be a beautiful gift.
How do I wrap that together? So you started talking about incentives and what would motivate people there, and also knowing the people. And it's really obvious in the book that you found that gamification works better if you really get to know the individuals to a certain extent. So I guess my question is, how important is it to know your audience and then to personalize the gamification? How important is that to the success of the gamification?
Yeah, I think it's on different aspects, because if you take the principles of the gamification, we will speak about challenges, we will speak about rewards, and we will speak about motivation techniques. Based on that, you know who likes to be teased and challenged and who doesn't like to be challenged. Based on that, you can build better your team, okay? Because in fact, the thing is, people think they need to build a team, and what they say is, okay, let's make the team with IT on the left, finance on the right, and sales guy on the top. That's false. That's false, because no matter what you are doing, you like to be challenged or you don't like to be challenged. And this is why you need to make teams, you know? First, that's it. Then the reward. If I know you a bit, how can I be sure that I will offer you the best Christmas gift under the tree? You know what I mean? Yeah. Why should I offer you a bike if I know you don't like to bike? And so it's not a matter of how much cost the gift. It's how valuable it is for you to receive that thing, you know? And I think this is why knowing your team in detail is really important. If I want to say the winner of this challenge will join me to see a match of tennis, if I know the winner does tennis but he likes soccer, same budget, change completely the reward you may offer, you know? And I think this is really important to know that. That really, I would say mostly it's for the reward aspects, which is primordial in gamification, is how you reward people. And people forget sometimes the difference between value and money and cost of a gift, which is completely different. Think about
yeah, so actually that was going to be my next question. You use one of my favorite tools, which is Gabe Zigerman's SAPS, or Status, Access, Power, and Stuff, for helping decide what rewards and incentives would work. Yeah, so tell me about how you use that. And also I'm interested in how much personalizing do you think it takes with the SAPS? I'm guessing from what you were just saying, quite a lot. But tell me more.
Yeah, but even more, I think SAPS is a powerful tool, I would say. Let's call it like that. But not only for customizing of rewards, also because that's the main challenge you will face with clients where you propose them gamification is they, have budget for rewards. You know, we don't have money for rewards. And then you say, look, you have 4 kinds of rewards and stuff. The S of SAPS is the first one. That's the less valuable for someone. For money, they work. For one thing that they can get themselves home, you know? So that's really a perfect tool for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a client at the moment that's stuck in exactly that mindset. Yeah, which is what we want. We want people to do it, and we feel like if we bribe them with stuff, they'll do it. And I'm like, but you've got all these other things for more intrinsic motivation or other more personalized things that would probably work better.
When you can acquire something that you are searching for a lot of months and not accessible for you, not even if you pay it a lot, and you can get it, the value inside is, no matter the cost, it's amazing, When you have only 2 tickets VIP, no matter the cost of the VIP tickets, you want to get them, because you know what I mean? And this is SAPS pyramid, as we call it. And this doesn't cost more to the company than money. So it's just the approach they should have. In my team, to be honest with you, we have a SAPS reward in place. I'm offering different, depending on the challenges, I'm offering 3 hours. So, an employee in Belgium only has 22 days a year of vacation. So there's a challenge where you can spend hours. And if you have 4 hours this month, because you get it, you're rewarded. 4 hours for an employee is a lot because it's half day, paid to not work, free time, quality of life, and they only have 22 days. So this costs to me 0. Just one person in a few hours, but it costs €0. This is kind of SAPS reward and defeat. We have also reward, which is lunch with the boss. It's a game, but lunch with the POS, the lunch. But they can choose where they want to lunch, and we go, and they choose all wine, food. I'm doing it with my clients. Do it one more with my team. It costs not more, but for them, they can go to a restaurant they cannot afford maybe, and it's really nice. So that kind of SAPS rewards. And how SAPS reward solve this issue of cash to pay rewards. And
you've got to watch out with that particular reward, I found, because some people would see lunch with the boss as a punishment. Depends on the boss.
Yeah, it depends. That's just an example. I like to lunch, so that's why I was.
Yeah.
Sorry, but we have also the power. So the P of SAPS is power. And we have kind of people playing roles, the mood manager. It's a SAPS based on what has been animated in the company during the last months. The manager is changing. So next month, if it's you, the mood manager, because you deserve it, and it goes into the team, it's you have. So you are so happy to a kind of budget and then responsible inside the team. That's power we give you. 0 once again. That's not a matter of money. You have the power for that. The people welcoming, we don't have HR department. The welcome of new joiners is done by one person. This is also power you give. So you play the role as HR manager, welcome the guy, train him, explaining how it works, best practices. It's a kind of congratulation you have, you are a gratification, and it costs, once again, 0. As you have involved in the company, you are in the skin of an HR manager during few months and the skin of a mood manager during months. Once again, it's power, you are involved, it costs just $0 and you pass to the company. This is why SAPS reward is really powerful.
Well, I mean, now I really want to get into the details of how you're using it. So what rewards have you got under access for your staff?
It's events.
That's the events.
Mainly events, yes. Because in fact, it's applicable mainly only in our country. We have events where we have so much companies inside the same place. The number of places which are given to companies are limited, And even if I can pay 10 tickets for my team, we don't found the tickets to go to events. So I take what I can, and I say, okay, this year I get 2 tickets for that event, and that's a kind of fact you need to fight to have it. It's not a matter of money. There is only 2 tickets available, so I have no choice. And this is a kind of marketing. It's working, like events, like I don't know, big festival music where they know people that wants to go, they limit the tickets. That's my approach. That's not my choice. Technique. They need to fight if they want to, because I only have 2 tickets available. This is the kind of access we do. And
which only leads me to the final question of status as a reward.
The status is linked to the mood manager, HR manager. We play a role. We don't function, we play a role. This is it.
Okay, so in other words, your status reward is a rotating one, depending on what people are up to.
Because otherwise you get it 1-2 months a week, and then you are so familiar, it's becoming usual to be. It's not be the case, because you enter into a monotony, as you say, I don't know in English, but normally you are the one, and then the mood is not a focus anymore. If you do something, you fight to get it back because you don't like to lose something. That's a technique. Show you what you earned, we show you what you have lost, and this is why it challenge you to get it back, this mood manager again. So we force people to change. It
does sound like you've really managed to customize the use of SAPS, status access power and stuff, into your work environment. And I noticed in the chat, Ali Reza says, it's the age of personalization. Yeah. And I think that's very true.
Yeah.
So do you do, final question on this then, do you do it differently in different companies that you're working in or with? Yeah. How much, because you've run multiple businesses.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you been able to use almost the same SAP structure and gamification, or how have you customized it?
Yeah, I try to at least, but then it depends of the team you have, and it depends of the number of persons too. Actually we are 15%, so it's nice to order and it's nice to build teams. For example, if we make 3 teams to it's very nice. We have girls, boys. We have French, German, and Belgian guys working with us. So it's nice to challenge about locations. Like in soccer, you have a kind of fight because you are not Belgian, the guy is from France, and it's nice. So it's easier now to create these kind of animations. But of course, if you work every day only with 3-4 persons from the same environment, from the same culture, you have less flexibility to innovate. This is I would say the only difference why I get more deeper or not, it's because the team was not adapted. Today I have the chance to have a multicultural team, multi-knowledge, we have competencies which are different, and we are mature also with gamification, so it helps us to go deeper and deeper and deeper. That's the difference, I would say, from every companies I've making.
Okay. Yeah. So you've managed to make it work fairly standardized, but with a little bit of tailoring based on the demographics to a certain extent. Earlier, you were talking about, particularly with the older generations, they needed the physical gamification, the analog. But I noticed in the book, you talk an awful lot about how gamification should be delivered digitally so we can all tap into it. So where do you sit on this, and how important is it for gamification to be delivered digitally rather than analog?
If I speak today, and I'm not speaking about generation which are almost finishing their business, going to pension, because we know that it's 90% of the population in our new generation. If focus on this 90%, I would say all the user adoption. The only I will always keep physically or analog, as you say, will be the ceremony of reward, because that's an excuse to meet everyone. And I think when you deliver an award to someone, what he deserves and what he appreciates the best in terms of value is the reward, the applause and the congratulation of people. And it's not easy to congratulate people really. And I think we have all the sports which are playing without any audience and public. When you go, you have just your friends, But when you have the inside the stadium. That's completely amazing, no matter the goal you have scored, you know? And that's exactly with rewards, and once again, SAPS reward. So I would say ceremonies should still be live. That's the physical, face-to-face. That's the last item I would say. It should stay emotional and shaking hands and people, you know, telling you fine, you deserve it and so on. This should be by message. There is no, you know, we don't say I love you by message to them. That doesn't work. You can try, but that doesn't work.
I suspect it will not work for long.
That's it.
Okay, so I think that's a really nice point about. So actually, what you're really saying is everything else works digitally from a gamification point of view, but that experience, the aesthetic, in certain situations needs that live moment. That'd be interesting to see if there's a digital way to do that. Actually,
yeah. That's easy,
right?
But it's really because it's physical emotions. That's the only thing that gamification cannot replace. But for now, until now, we're only 20. No.
Yeah, true. A bit more AR, VR, the aesthetics, the themes, the sound effects, the feelings. It will come. That's very true.
And we are still young, so 20 years, you know.
You've got a nice long-term perspective there.
You in 20.
Hey, what tips would you recommend for readers of the book, business owners and entrepreneurs who want to get started with gamification? Where should they begin?
I would say should begin by knowing their team, as I said, understanding their needs, not what they are doing every day, but why they are part of that company. And I think the reason why they are there, this is what they need to be gamified to increase this, you know. So if they are there for a reason of learning, because they like to learn, then you need to apply gamification for learning. That's the objective, to cultivate the why they are there. In fact, that's it. So ideas of gamification should not come from the owner itself. You know better your audience. You understand why they join your company, and the reason why they join the company should be the objective of the gamification program you want to put in place. You increase the reason why, if I can speak in word.
Yeah. In fact, that reminds me, in the book, in every section, you've got some tasks you set people. And actually, a lot of them are about getting to know your team from different perspectives, from the demographic and from what rewards they do.
Yeah, and once again, it's targeted to business owners and team leaders. That's not just where you read the book. It's just, no matter if you reply or not, it's just the question should tease you and yeah, maybe I should try. I'm just there to inspire, you know. So not asking people, tell me the book is amazing, it's a great story, is important. I think I just want to tell this question can bring a lot.
Very good. Excellent. I've actually got a question popped up in the Q&A, which is more relevant than the next question I was going to ask, so I'm going to go for this one. This is from Sandia. The biggest challenge I'm facing is the return on investment. The perspective I have often faced is that game is not equal to work/learning. How do we deal with this perspective? That's a great question.
That's not easy like that, because that's the most important thing. I think you should, when you do a kickoff and strategy of, you should also take into account the objective of the company, so KPIs. KPIs are indicators of what is success for your client. If you say, I want people to feel happy and I want to use a survey for that, that's a KPI. If they say, I want people to stay more in my company, That's a KPI, okay? I want my sales more. It's a KPI. You just need to define your KPIs inside your strategy. Like this, you have it in mind when you define it. And you should be able to measure it. And you can say, last 10 years, you have, I don't know, 80% retention, 82, 78, and you can measure KPIs. So that's not what about replacement. Do we change the game, in fact? Do we change? And for that, you need to change. And if you can measure, then you have your return on investment. And I think that's even more complicated. And this is what gamification cannot do, by the way. So, and gamification can do it. If you say an average employee has 3 skills certified, and the objective is to have 6 skills certified, that's a clear objective you can have with learning. We cannot, gamification made it, but without gamification, it was not the case. So you should ask your clients to say, prove that it's not gamification. You know, that's the idea. But defining KPIs in the strategy of gamification is probably the only argument you have when people say gamification doesn't work. You can.
So it's really important to identify the KPIs,
yeah,
and track those when you're doing the gamification.
And before doing the strategy, you can adapt. And you can say this KPI is impossible to measure. I understand, but how can I measure the satisfaction of an employee? Doesn't mean anything. How can I measure the satisfaction? We need to define what we call smart KPIs. These KPIs that you can measure. Whatever, but it should be measurable.
Okay, that's cool. Is there... actually, my question is, what are you working on or developing at the moment? Yeah, what's the future? How are you getting better at this stuff?
Now, I'm working on the recruitment. So, gamifying the recruitment process. Because I think it's not find the right person, but even when you have in front of you, it's not easy to onboard them. And to onboard people, it should be fun. It's a journey, you know? It's a journey. So, and we are gamifying this recruitment process. This is something we are working on. Because I think the happiness of someone inside a company starts before the company. You need to be engaged before coming. That's a mind. And also indirect reason about that is I think people should be engaged before giving their to. So you start engagement as soon as you can, even before your first inside a, and it's what bring the recruitment. This is pre-onboarding.
So it's a good way to start your gamification journey in the company, isn't it? Is when your employee's first experience is gamified, then the onboarding, and then so on and so forth. It's you're going for a holistic gamification approach for your company. Yeah. I think I might have lost you for a moment, but I've got a couple of great points from the chat that I want you to hear. So Anariza says, wonderful. That's a trending field, and there are a few powerful competitors in it. That's about the recruitment side. And Lisa also mentioned earlier on, actually, that the design focus should indeed always be set on the value towards the end user through, for example, collecting as many insights and feedbacks as you can from your target audience. So, I mean, I think what you're saying today is really resonating with the audience, which is great.
Nice.
I am waiting for, if anyone watching wants to add another question, now's your chance. I really only have one more question for you, David, which is there a game type or genre that you would love to use in your work that you've not yet had a chance to do? And I'm guessing here it's from like games you've watched rather than played, from what you were saying earlier.
Because I think, I don't say that I have, but I'm really using games which are more connected, you know, because today we speak about digital and so on, but we speak about devices, mainly smartphones inside companies. I'm really curious and excited to find the first games, no matter the game itself, where you come and you receive your VR headset. The next step for business, I think, you know, like you see in movies. So no matter the game which is inside, but I think we don't give you just, there is your smartphone, there is also your VR headset. And that's a complete gamified immersion inside a company. So it's more about technology, and I would like now more technology than smartphone instead of a specific.
So that's a great future vision of gamification to end on. It's a more, well, immerse ourselves in gamification.
Yeah? Imagine remotely work, welcome inside a company. You make a run inside the office, and they show you the, you know, just 200 kilometers from the office. That's a complete immersion. This is.
Okay, we've got time for one question, and luckily one has popped into the Q&A section. So Ali Reza asks, where do you get your inspirations for design?
I have a team which is really creative. That's it. For the inspiration on my side, as I said, it's.
We lost him. We were struggling with his internet connection. David, maybe we'll get you back in a second. In the meantime, for anyone who wants to find out more about David, you can go to his website. He's got a personal website, davidiachetta.com. Which has links to everything else, but also is probably the easiest place to tap into and get a copy of his book, We Are All Gamers. So I highly recommend doing that, downloading it, and it's quite practical in terms of, particularly from running a business and learning more about your employees and how to get started in gamification. So give it a read when you get a chance, and I know David would be delighted to chat with any of you about implementing or issues you've got in creating the gamification. And you can always check out his main gamification platform, bravon.io, as well, which is being used by a number of different companies in different ways, from learning gamification to much, much more. In that case, as it doesn't seem to be coming back, I'm going to wrap up this session now. But I want to say thanks so much to David. So I'll record this bit and get it back to him. He's been a real delight to interview today. He's really talked from the heart, I think, about how important gamification is to him and to his business. And so thanks very much, David. And we'll see you next time.